நளியிரு முன்னீர் நாவாய் ஓட்டி வழிதொழிலாண்ட உறவோன் வருக, which means we were the unchallenged master of the western coast, particularly the modern day Maharashtra. It was virtually under his thumb. Unfortunately, we lost the edge over the Europeans only in the last about let's say in the all India context, maybe in the last 300 years, and the west coast context maybe only about 150 years. So this INS Kaundinya, this encapsulates a new technique, not new for the present generation, but this is one of our oldest techniques of vessel building. Technology itself has been ridiculed because we have not made the prototype out of the theory that we had, the text that we speak of. So even today, the people of Indian origin who are settled in Indonesia and Malaysia, they are known as Kling. The eastern coast of India, starting from Kanyakumari, all the way up to West Bengal, people who live on the coast, 70% of Tamils, undefeated, uncrowned monarch. When he born, British had to vacate Chennai. In fact, with the regret, I want to record here, our Maritime Day is celebrated to commemorate sailing of a vessel from Bombay in 1919, whereas VOC's vessel sailed in 1906.
Namaskaram, yet another program in ShreeTv world, but this is not yet another. We have a very eminent scholar with us to discuss something that needs to be told. I guess we haven't been discussing much, but of late, because of INSV Kaundinya, there is at least a ball has been rolled with regards to our maritime achievements, our maritime skills, techniques, challenges, and everything. I could only think of one man who could do justice to this topic itself, because he being a merchant navy himself, he was handling shipping of a company for a long time. And again, as I told you, a scholar par excellence. We cannot find such people among us in the intellectual arena, though there may be people who call themselves so, but there are people who are a touch, a notch above many. And I'm really happy, also thankful to Sri Prabhakaran with us for discussing this topic. Namaskaram, Swami.
Vanakkam, and thank you, JK, for such a wonderful and warm introduction.
I know it wasn't enough, but due to the paucity of time, I couldn't elaborate much. But thank you once again. So I know, I guess you have got praises, accolades from many people, including one of the greatest, though you might be off the rail now, Dr. Subramaniam Swami, calling you a Brahmin, though you are not. I'm just adding it here so that people would understand what kind of acknowledgement you have received across the spectrum. We'll start with INSV Kaundinya.
Yeah.
People are talking about it, including we have seen our own Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Damodara Das Modi, kind of tweeting about it a couple of days back. And there is a lot of discussion about the kind of vessel. This is not a commercial venture. It is not even a Navy venture. What exactly are we trying to achieve through INSV Kaundinya?
The INSV Kaundinya underscores the rich and hoary maritime tradition of Bharat. This land has been a great experimental ground for various techniques in shipping. And there have been many records starting from the ancient period to the medieval period, all the way up to modern period also, that the Bharat has been leading the maritime tradition. Unfortunately, we lost the edge over the Europeans only in the last about, let's say in all India context, maybe in the last 300 years, and the west coast context maybe only about 150 years ago. Otherwise, we were a very big maritime power for all these years. So this INS Kaundinya, this encapsulates a new technique, not new, new for the present generation, but this is one of our oldest techniques of vessel building or shipbuilding. And there has been many types. This is one of the types, not the only type. So this is called the stitched method of shipbuilding, in which the side planks, instead of being nailed to the keel and the supporting planks, it is stitched. They drill holes in the edges of the planks. So between these two holes, one on the top, another one on the bottom, a coir rope is threaded and it is tightened. So this creates a hull which is very strong, at the same time slightly flexible. So that is the purpose of giving this. And the the gap in between these two planks, there is a cloth which is well doused in paste or like a resin which is made out of tamarind seeds. They crush traditionally we crush the tamarind seeds and mix it with the jatropha oil and it becomes a resin. So this cloth will be treated in that. Not only this cloth, even the sails and these ropes, all these things, mostly it will be treated in this type of resin. And this resin keeps water outside or not seeping inside the hull. So this is and secondly, this vessel, since it is a flexible hull, instead of a rudder, they have given a steering oar. You know, the oar normally we row the ships using. This will be a bigger one, massive one, and this is only used for steering the ship, not for propelling the ship. And the ship goes forward because of two sails. And there again we have used square sails. The square sails are suited for wind pushing from the back. And India being a monsoon-driven country, so you know very well our ships during the ancient days, when we go from India to, let's say, the eastern coast, take from Kerala to Egypt or to Middle East, we go during the southwest monsoon.
Okay.
So it pushes you from the back. So the square sail, it acts like a parachute, vertical parachute, receives all the air and it propels the vessel forward. Normally, for smaller vessels, they use a triangular sail, which is good for maneuvering, but not good for taking cargo, taking loads. So here it is, therefore they have selected a square sail. And when the wind changes the direction, northeast monsoon, they return back. The same way it will be an opposite from eastern coast. And let's say from eastern coast, if you want to go towards Malaysia, Singapore, China, you have to go during southeast monsoon and come back during northwest monsoon. So these are the monsoons that guides or controls the Indian maritime landscape. And this is one of the vessel, and the reason for building the vessel now, this is to underscore our technique and to highlight the soft power of India, our cultural. So it is, this vessel is neither, as you rightly said, this is neither a commercial vessel nor a military vessel, but this is more for a culture. And it goes there, people know that we have this technique and this is still workable. Most of our technique, not just the techniques, our technology itself has been ridiculed because we have not made the prototype out of the theory that we had, the text that we speak of. This is the first time they have made a working prototype, and therefore now not only the rest of the world, our own younger generation will have to take our legacy very seriously and build upon it for future development. So that is the significance of INS Kaundinya.
So the map they chose from India to Muscat, Oman, right? So this is simply because of the sail.
Not just because of the sail. See, this is one of the major trade route.
Right.
The why we call this West Coast as Arabian Sea, because the Arab traders, they come to India not just during the Islamic Muslim time, it is even pre-Islamic. They have been trading with the Indian coast for 3,000-4,000 years. So from the Kerala coast or all the way from, first the vessel sails to Yemen or Egypt. So we call, our ancient texts call this region as Misr. Misr.
Okay.
M-I-S-R in English. If you want. So Misr is technically the right region for to indicate Misr is Egypt.
Okay.
But we denote all the Middle East region as Misr. So our incense, ivory, peacock feathers, all luxurious items, pepper, cardamom, they land in Yemen. Then they move on caravan trails. They go all the way up to Damascus, Syria. From there, either it takes a land route to Europe or it may take a route from Mediterranean. From Egypt, it may go to Mediterranean Sea, and from there, the Venetian and the Portuguese traders, they used to take it to the Mediterranean coast of Europe. See, this was the standard, one of the standard routes on the west coast. So, therefore, they have selected this as a first port of call.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So now, because of INSV Kaundinya, we started reading more about Indian maritime. All right. So in fact, there was a movie which came recently talking about Arab traders, Kantara 2.
Yeah.
In fact, they had a kind of scenes where Arab traders coming to India. The coastline again. I guess we have a Dvipa, right, from running from Gujarat and till going till West Bengal on the other side. So what exactly is, because you talk about our ancient maritime, what exactly we have done in the maritime space that kind of propels us to showcase something like INSV Kaundinya for the Vikshit Bharat?
Yeah. So let me give you some examples from our ancient traditions. Like take the Tamil text, Sangam text. There is a text which talks about the glory of Karikal Chola. That is called Pattinappalai.
Okay, he's the one who built that
Kallanai, the stone dam that we still have, which is still working for the last couple of thousands of years.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So the poet describes Karikala. Naliyiru munnir navai otti vali dolilanda uravon maruga, which means this king, he has, by mastering the ways of the wind, he was controlling the three seas, the three oceans. So
mastering the wind.
By mastering the wind.
Yeah.
Vali tolil. Vali means wind.
Right.
So tolil means the modus operandi of the wind. So since he has mastered, or his navigators have mastered, not the king himself, but it is attributed to the king. So since he has mastered, his ships were ruling all three seas. And you know very well the Chola Empire, right from those olden days, they had an extensive trade network with Southeast Asia. And even today, if you go to Southeast Asia, you could see Tamil inscription and Sanskrit inscription, even today. And the Hindu religious motifs are found in many of their archaeological sites. And not only Tamil Nadu, Orissa was also a major player in this ancient period. So to say, the Orissa was known as Kalinga in those days.
I was just trying to remember the name.
Yes, Kalinga. So even today, the people of Indian origin who are settled in Indonesia and Malaysia, they are known as Kling.
Kling.
Okay. That's a corruption of Kalinga.
Okay.
Port Klang. It's a corruption of Kalinga.
Okay.
Keelung in Indonesia is again to denote Kalinga.
Okay.
So, moment you say maritime, they only think of Kalinga. So, to that extent, Orissa had a overwhelming presence in Southeast Asia. But they didn't distinguish between Orissa and Tamil Nadu.
Right.
Both were. Even today, if you take the eastern coast of India, starting from Kanyakumari, all the way up to West Bengal, people who live on the coast, 70% of Tamils.
Right.
The very popular and famous fishing community in West Bengal is called Kaivarta. Kaivarta.
Okay.
Their surnames would be like Biswas, and they are all Kaivartas.
Okay.
Kaivarta is nothing but Kayal Vartahan. Fish trader.
Okay.
It's a proper Tamil name. So you could see this remnants of Tamil culture, the maritime culture on the East Coast throughout the East Coast. So to say, the pinnacle of achievement is a Shiva temple in Guangzhou, in China. There is a province in Guangzhou, there's a city, there is an archaeological site. You could see Shiva and many of the Hindu gods. But today, of course, in the Sanctum Sanctorum, they have placed a Buddha.
Okay.
Yeah, but even their own text admit this was a Shiva temple, and their historical records, modern records also say this was originally a Shiva temple. So, and the name of the Shiva is given in our Tamil literature. He is called Tirukkanishwarar because the Chinese people, they descend from their race is called Han.
Han. Yeah.
Yeah, so Hanishwarar. So that is called
Tirukkanishwarar.
Kanishwarar.
Okay.
Kanishwarar.
Okay.
So all this I am talking about 3rd or 4th century BC. When you come to 1st century AD, in the Sanskrit we have a text called Yukti Kalpataru.
Yes, that's what
That inspired
Dynasty
this Kaundinya.
Yeah.
On the similar lines, there was a text in Tamil Nadu called Navai Adhigaram. So this text, Navai means floating craft.
Yep.
And there are many types of floating craft, and there are 48 words in Tamil to indicate a floating craft, like Parisal, Teppam, Vodam,
48.
Padaham, 48 words. The biggest ship was known as Navai. This, I would say, this is equivalent to a Greek or Roman galleon or a Spanish galleon. It was like about 500 to 600 tons displacement. So this was called a Navai, and this was the fastest and the largest ocean-going vessel during ancient time. The whole world, not just in India, the whole world. So this text, Adhigara means it's a text. It's a treatise. It's a treatise on shipbuilding. Since I am from the shipping industry, I know a little bit of shipbuilding. The keel of the ship, that is like the backbone for a human being. So there should not be a joint. This text says you can have a joint for the keel subject to certain conditions, technical conditions. So they have gone to that details. So, and the proportions of the vessel, the floating craft, the number of masts it can have, whether it should be a single masted, double masted, or triple masted, number of sails starting from 6 all the way going up to 32 for a clipper. All that are dealt in this scripture, this Navai Adhigaram. And this book, the original part, the palm leaves, is still there in Antwerp Library. Antwerp.
Okay.
And the Danish people, when they settled down in Tarangambadi, Tranquebar, they brought a copy of that palm leaf. They again translated it and they gave a name, Kappal Sastram.
Okay.
That book, it's available on the net even today. The same Navai Adhigaram, which is in a verse form, they have translated into a prose form.
Okay.
And this age of this text is somewhere between 300 AD to 600 AD after Christ. So we have text, manuals, and a big tradition covering whole of India. So it is not as if we have come to know about the shipbuilding only after the advent of Europeans. No. If you come to the medieval period, there are two leading figures who stand out. One is Kanoji Angre of Maharashtra. So he was the unchallenged master of the western coast, particularly the modern day Maharashtra. It was virtually under his thumb. During his peak period, he controlled the coastline starting from Surat all the way up to Goa. So his headquarters was in the today's Ratnagiri.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think he was buried in Bombay. There is a place called Alibag,
Yeah, Alibag.
Yes. Alibag. That was his headquarters. So he was buried there. His tombstone is still there.
Right.
The reason why we appreciate Kanoji Angre, the Mughals could not touch the Europeans. In fact, the Portuguese, they were always taunting the Mughal ships. In fact, they even arrested Aurangzeb's own daughter when she went for a pilgrimage to Mecca.
Okay.
Yeah, in the mid-sea they arrested. Unless a vessel pays tax to Portuguese, no vessel can sail in the west coast. And the Portuguese, when they came in 1492 to Calicut, they bombarded the Kerala coast and they dictated their own terms. So virtually they were controlling the west coast until Kanoji Angre came into the picture. At the age of 20, he captured his first Portuguese ship. And then from then onward, he lived for about 59 years. So the 39 years, undefeated, uncrowned monarch. And the biggest ships he captured was all they are known as the East Indian man.
Okay.
East Indian man is the general colloquial term given to the massive ships that ply from Europe to India or Southeast Asia. About 5,000 tons displacement.
5,000 tons.
5,000 tons is the gigantic compared
in
to
the
those
medieval
times,
period
in the
itself.
medieval. We are talking about 1400s, 1500s,
1400s.
1600s. So it was a very big size with 30 cannons. All the Western European ships had cannons.
Okay.
He was
For security purpose.
security purposes, cannons. He captured it with the very small vessels with just 8 cannons. So the technique is more important than the firepower.
Right.
Yeah. So Kanoji Angre is such a great man, and he collected tax from all the European vessels.
Nothing like it. Jizya.
He
was jizya.
He called it jakat.
Jakat.
He called it jakat, not
Jakat,
jizya.
okay. Okay.
Yeah. So he turned the tables against the European. Instead of they collecting it from Indian vessel owners, he started collecting it.
In fact, that would bring us to the point. We, in the schools, in colleges, I'm not sure even in history books,
Yes.
nobody have ever heard of such a name unless he has a kind of inclination towards navigation or even naval army of the ancient India as well as medieval, right? What's stopping us from talking about Kanoji
We
Angre?
suffered from a disease called demonizing our own culture, or demeaning our own culture. Yeah, another, I tell you one more hero from the south, Kerala, Martanda Varma of Kerala, Travancore.
Right.
He was such a maritime power. In 1741, he defeated the Dutch in the Battle of Kolachal. And that was a very decisive victory. Thereafter, it was not just a mere defeat. The Dutch decided not to enter India.
At all.
That's all. At one battle, he taught them a lesson that they will never forget. Then they shifted the base from India to Indonesia. That's why it's called Dutch East Indies.
Unbelievable.
Yes. And he captured 247 prisoners, and the commander, I think Delito, if I am not mistaken his name, he was kept there permanently. He was never released. He was made to train his own staff, build proper, better ships. So, if an Indian ruler in 1741 could enforce his will in this manner, so imagine the prowess of our ancestors. Even today, if you read world history, when it comes to Asia, they say the first Asian power to defeat a European power is Japan against Russia in Russo-Japanese War in 1904. But I am talking about 1741, Kanoji Angre 1729. So what are we talking about our Indian history? What are we teaching to our children?
No, what are we teaching to the world as well?
World. What are we telling the world?
So if you're talking about Marthandavarman, right, who kind of won in Kolachal against Dutch never even thought of coming back to India again.
Yes.
So likewise, I guess we kind of touched upon Kanoji Angre and then the southeastern side of Chola kingdom,
Yes.
Chola dynasty, up to the medieval period, right? So we know that Columbus tried to come to India. He ended up in America. We also know Vasco da. These are the things that we keep repeating ourselves, telling kids as well as grown-ups. Anybody, I guess, are we kind of shy or ashamed of speaking about our own achievements in naval or maritime, in fact?
See, there is a diffidence in our mindset. This is very difficult to eradicate.
Right.
And we also have this white man hangover still. You may say that we don't have, but heart of heart, generally speaking, it is in the culture. More importantly, in the guise of opposing Congress, certain regional parties, particularly the Dravidian party led by the DK and DMK, they started insulting and demeaning our own tradition, thinking they are opposing the North Indians or the Congress party or the Brahmins. So they never wanted you to understand your own greatness, and they always wanted to impart a psychic on you, thrust a doctrine that anything Western is modern.
Right. Anything Western is progressive.
Progressive. That is it. Anything India, anything Bharathiya, anything Indianness is backwardness, regressive.
Regressive, right.
No. So Tamil Nadu particularly is soaked in this garbage for the last 55 years. So we have to rewrite our own history and put it in the right perspective and the like. So history is not just the information or dates or events. It is also the perspective that counts. So
Right.
we have to write in Indian history in Indian perspective.
So in fact, when we talk about, again, maritime, we should touch upon somebody like Shanbagaraman.
Yeah.
Right. So many people would not understand the kind of achievement he had. Is it? Why can't we just
Yeah, this is, let's say, after medieval, now we have come to the
modern times?
modern times. Before that, I wanted to touch little bit about early modern period.
Okay.
Where Marco Polo,
Okay.
the greatest traveler, the Venetian Marco Polo, he compares Chinese vessels with Indian vessels in his writings.
Chinese were powerful then.
Chinese were powerful around, let's say, 1200 to 1300. They were very powerful. In fact, one of their admiral called Zheng He, he built a massive ship, about 10,000 tons displacement, and not just one, fleet. And he sailed all the way up to Africa.
Okay.
He came to India, Africa, and if you see the small Chinese population in whole of Southeast Asia, many of them trace their ancestry to Zheng He.
Okay.
And when he went back, he took even a giraffe to his emperor.
Okay. Just to show that he has come here.
Come
Okay.
here. And
Right.
anything curious, he has collected.
Right.
Not
Right.
just only the giraffe, anything curious. Unfortunately, the emperor who came after his period, he wanted to have a total control, and he thought when people venture out into the sea, they are not in his control. So he asked all the vessels to be destroyed.
Yeah. The fleet of
The entire fleet. So he
Right.
said nobody should travel outside without his permission, and no overseas trading. It was restricted only to fishing.
right.
So this was one of the reasons for the downfall of the Chinese. Yeah. So this is talking about. So Marco Polo, when he visits the Kublai Khan, he sees that, and when he comes to India, he writes that the Indian vessels are the first ships which had divided the hull into holes and hatches. Normally, if you read in Wikipedia, and I think today it is attributed to the Chinese.
Right.
When they saw the bamboo which had the separations, so from there they got the inspiration and built. No, Marco Polo clearly says he has not seen a vessel in China with hatch and fold separations. It was the first time he saw in India,
Okay.
South India. So that is our legacy. Yeah. Come to Shanbagaraman. He is a military admiral. So he came here during the First World War in a vessel called Emden. Emden. Even today, when somebody is very tough, we say this fellow is an Emden.
Right. Very similar sound to Yemen.
Yes. So he hails from a place, Shanbahanallur, near Tirunelveli.
Right.
And he was educated in Europe, and he met Kaiser Wilhelm. And in fact, Kaiser Wilhelm had already come to Calcutta, where he has already met him.
Okay.
Only on that, based on that acquaintance, he goes back and meets him, convinces him to give him a vessel.
To German. He
went to Germany. During the First World War. He came to Chennai and bombed Fort St. George. And the place where the bombs fell, they are still marked.
Okay.
Yes. And one of the commercial places where it fell is the Dare House, which is now we call the EID Parry House.
Right.
That building.
Okay.
So when he bombed, the British had to vacate Chennai. No, it is not just a one-time affair.
Mm-hmm.
It had a profound effect on the psychology. And so Shanbagaraman, unfortunately, he is also not well recognized because he is not in tune with the Dravidian ideology. So therefore, somebody else is praised. And little after Shanbagaraman, then comes the Vivo Chidambaram, VOC.
I guess Tamil Nadu or Tamilagam history cannot go past Vavu Chidambaram period.
Yeah.
I
The whole
guess
of Indian history. In fact,
all of Indian history.
all of Indian maritime, the proper Indian maritime modern history starts with the VOC.
Right.
In fact, with regret, I want to record here our Maritime Day is celebrated to commemorate sailing of a vessel from Bombay in 1919, whereas VOC's vessel sailed in 1906, 13 years before that event. So normally this should have been commemorated as the Indian Maritime Day. That's the year he bought two ships.
Okay.
He started a business between Tuticorin and Colombo,
Right.
and it was very successful. There is an act called Indian Ports Act, 1908. That act was enacted only to break the
VOC.
company of Vivo Sedamarana.
Right.
That's called Swadeshi Steam Navigation Company. And there is an interesting connection with our freedom struggle. It is, of course, meant
It
for
is
freedom struggle.
absolutely.
There is a personal touch. This vessel he bought from a Parsi gentleman who was living in France.
Okay.
So I think there was some shortage of funds.
Mm-hmm.
VOC went to France, but he couldn't mobilize that money, and transferring money was difficult. So therefore, he called Lokmanya Tilak. Tilak convinced that gentleman.
Okay. In France.
I stand guarantee for VOC, you release the vessels. So this was the patriotic fervor of all our ancestors, whether it is North Indian or South Indian. This was VOC's effort was more of symbolic. It doesn't
Right.
mean that they are, because he thought that yes, the British are able to monopolize the trade because they had access to the vessels. So
Right.
let me also start my own company. So this is a very symbolic gesture. Of course, thankfully they have named the Tuticorin port as Vivo Chidambaram port. So otherwise, this great son of India would have been forgotten.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There has been many connections with Far East.
Far East.
Far East.
Okay.
And there are, in fact, if you look at the Tanjavur big temple on the Gopuram, the tower, you could see two statues. One is an Egyptian, other one is a Chinese.
Okay.
So this is to
Travelers.
tell the rest of the world or the future generations we had connections with these two countries.
Right. Egypt and China.
Egypt. You go to Mahabalipuram, rock relief, which is in which it is a Govardhana Giri,
Okay.
depiction of Govardhana Giri. On the left hand side, you could see the Egyptian Sphinx carved there.
Okay.
Because Mahabalipuram is a coastal town and a port
Absolutely.
city.
In fact,
And a port
yeah,
city.
maybe how can we kind of do not discuss about Pumbuhar and Mahabalipuram in fact,
the
right?
Pumbuhar was the old maritime capital of the Cholas.
Right.
That's during the Sangam age.
Right.
And then after the Pumbuhar was engulfed by the tsunami, the second capital is Nagapattinam. So Nagapattinam was maybe, it would be during the Rajaraja Chola, Rajendra Chola period. And the contemporaries of the Rajaraja Chola in China is Song dynasty. So they were not a maritime power.
Right.
They were only a regional power. But trading between these two countries was very prolific.
Between Sri Lanka and India.
No, India and China.
India and China. Right.
Right. Have you heard of the Rajendra Chola's invasion of Kadaram?
Yeah, Kadaram Kunda.
Why? What was the reason? See, this is a collection of small countries in the Indonesia, like the modern day Java.
Right.
And northern part of Malaysia known as the Kedah. Today it's called the Kedah province. That was, during those time, it was called Kadaram.
Kadaram, okay.
They joined together and they formed a coalition arrangement
okay.
called Srivijaya.
Okay.
Srivijaya countries. It's not one country. It is a combination of three countries. They said, Indian traders, you give your products to us. And Chinese traders, you give your product. We will do the exchange.
Okay.
With a big...
So they want to be the middlemen.
Middlemen and with a big margin.
Okay.
So our traders did not want to do that. They want to directly go to China, which they were not allowing because they were blocking the Strait of Malacca.
Right.
Which is a choke point, maritime choke point. So when this was brought to the notice of the king, so he sent an armada and they conquered the Kadaram, which is in the Strait of Malacca, and they made a permanent settlement there. And you know how long this war between these people continued? For 800 years. It is not a war.
800
We are
years.
talking about 100 years wars between France and England, which is separated by 22 nautical miles.
Right.
Whereas this two ports are separated by 6,000 nautical miles. After the conquest by Rajendra Chola, 18 generations retained those places, even when they became a very small power. Even after 1300, when they were defeated by the Pandyas, they still retained their presence in Malaysia.
That is massive, I guess.
Massive. So, this is the history that we should tell our students.
Okay.
Yeah. And see, look at the Europeans, how they are glorifying a such a trivial incident this 100 years was. First of all, it was not totally for 100 years.
Right.
If you remove the gaps, it will be hardly for about 40-50 years. And the distance is only 22 nautical miles.
France and England.
France, Dover and Calais.
Right.
The port here is Dover, the other end is Calais. These two ports. What is so great about it? Huh? And this is about 6,000 nautical miles, even today. Modern vessels take 1 week to sail. Imagine. See, first of all, imagine the planning they would have had. It is not just going there. If they have to go and conquer a country, minimum they should have a minimum number of soldiers, at least let's say 5,000. At least, and they must be supported with food, armament, medicine, and the literature says they even carried elephants. How did they do all those things? What was the logistics behind it? What did the arrangement for fresh water?
I guess a lot of questions will come to our mind.
So many things will come.
Yeah. Right.
In fact, I have written a book on these things called Pugar Nagarathu Peruvanigan.
Okay, I guess people should note it down. Pugar Nagarathu Peruvanigan.
Peruvanigan.
This is about
on the maritime history of Tamils, the Cholas, particularly Cholas.
Okay.
It's not a fictional book, it is a non-fictional book, but in the guise of a fiction. There is, of course, there's a small narrative story.
Thank you very much. It's been a great pleasure because, there's so much to talk about. That's why
I can go on and on. There is so much matter that we can talk for another 2 hours also.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Anyway.
Yeah. So, thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.
Shri Prabhakar for being with us, because this is going to be the third episode on ShreeTv World. We kind of called it Jovial with JK simply because coffee with Karan, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a great honor to host you.
Thank you. It has been a great pleasure and I enjoyed this very much. Thank you.
Thank you.